know the master of the wind. I'm going to speak about that today. I know the master. And you know me, I'm always looking up words in the dictionary to see what the dictionary has to say. And whenever I looked up the word master in my dictionary, on my phone I have the dictionary app, and this is what it says. Conquer, overcome, rule, victor, a person with power, a person whose teachings others accept or follow. There's a lot of other meanings of the word master according to them. You know, you have master craftsman and, you know, master violinist and things like that. They use that word master. But number 15, there's like 35 meanings to the word of master. But number 15 in my dictionary says, in capital letters, the Master Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Amen.
You can look it up. If you want to get my dictionary app, that's fine. I told you a couple of weeks ago, they always have something. When a word means something, according to Jesus Christ and the Word of God, it tells it in there. Just like they tell the other meanings of this word. But John 13:13 says, you call me Master and Lord, and ye say, well, for so I am. This is Jesus speaking. John 13:13. You call me Master and Lord, and you say, well, for so I am. He said, I am the Master. You know, he's not a master craftsman. He might be a master craftsman. He's probably the master in everything. Anything that we can do, he is the top person that can do that, I'm sure. Even if you're a musician, where do we get the ability to learn to play those instruments? It's got to be from God, right? Luke chapter 8, verse 22. And it came to pass on a certain day that he went into a ship with his disciples. And he said unto them, let us go over unto the other side of the lake. And they launched forth. What did he say? Let us go over. Let us go over. Do we listen to what the Lord has to say to us? Do we listen? Just like David was talking about Habakkuk this morning. And how that God said, just sit back here and see what I'm going to do. Don't worry about it. I'm going to take care of this. And whenever he tells us something, do we listen to what he has to say? These disciples, Jesus told them, let us go over to the other side of this lake. Now, do you think Jesus was lying? No, he wasn't lying to them. So when God speaks to us and says, you just sit back and watch what I'm going to do in your life, because you're living for me and you're doing he said, let's go there. Jesus told them to go, and he told them to go over, and they should have listened to him. But listen to this. But as they sailed, he, Jesus, fell asleep. And there came down a storm of wind on the lake, and they were filled with water and were in jeopardy. In other words, the boat was filling up with water. And they came to him and awoke him, saying, Master, Master, we perish. Master? So you follow the teachings of another? That's what it says here. A person whose teachings others accept or follow. The Master, Jesus Christ. And so here they're saying, Master, Master. In other words, we're following you, but guess what? We're going to die. We perish. You know what we perish means? We're going down in this lake and we're going to die. Then he arose and he rebuked the wind and the raging of the water, and they ceased and were calm. I believe, I don't know about you, this is just Charlene chapter 3, verse 3. I believe if they would have just said, you know, we're going to keep on rowing because Jesus said for us to go over to the other side, so we're going to go over to the other side. And I believe if they would have spoke that faith out, that place would have calmed and they'd have got over there. I believe that. But instead, they're hollering, Master, Master, we're dying, we're perishing. The boat's going down. And he calmed the winds, calmed the waves, and he said to them, Where is your faith? I told you we're going over to the other side. Where is your faith? And they, being afraid, wondered, saying one to another, What manner of man is this? For he commands even the winds and water, and they obey him. Wow. They were shocked. They were shocked at this. They had already seen Jesus do some miracles. Why were they so shocked at this? He said, Where is your faith? If you would have just had faith, you'd have got over there without waking me up. And I didn't much need of this rest. Where's your faith? Amen. I told you you're going to the other side. So guess what? When the Lord tells you he's going to take care of your things that are going on in your life, why can't you just have faith for that? Amen. So I'm not pointing fingers at you. I'm pointing them at me too. Yes. You know, if anything ever comes out of my mouth that's not faith and I'm not speaking faith, I slap myself. Say, no, you're not going there. That's not speaking the word of God. That's right. I got to speak the word of God. Matthew chapter 8, verse 19. And a certain scribe came and said unto him, Master. In other words, you're the person I'm following. A certain scribe came and said unto him, Master, I will follow thee whithersoever thou goest. Right. Man, wherever you go, I'm going to follow you. The scribe told him, and you know what Jesus said unto him? Foxes have holes, the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has not where to lay his head. He said, man, I don't even have a family. I don't have a home. I don't have a place to stay. I just travel all over. People let him stay in their homes. Sounds like an evangelist to me. Been there, done that. He said, I don't have any place to lay my head. Are you going to follow me? The disciples followed him everywhere he went. He said, this scribe, he said, I'm going to follow you everywhere you go. And Jesus said, well, these are the conditions that you're going to have if you do. When my husband asked me to marry him, he said, I just want you to know that I'm going to marry you. He hadn't given me a ring yet, but he said, I'm going to marry you, and this is the way it's going to be. You're going to live out of the suitcase the rest of your life. So you need to pray about it, and you need to think about it, because if you marry me, you'll live out of a suitcase the rest of your life. Well, it was okay with me. My sister and brother-in-law lived out of a suitcase a lot, traveling in the evangelistic field. And I felt like that's what God was calling me to do, and he gave me my husband to do that with. Amen. And so we've got to be willing to follow the Lord no matter what. Amen. No matter what you've got in your pocket, no matter what you have to live in. If God calls you to live for him and to minister for him, we need to be willing to do it. Why? Because we know the Master. We know the Master. Matthew 23, verse 8. And be not ye called Rabbi, for one is your Master, even Christ. So don't let anybody call you Master, because Jesus is the Master. And all you are brethren. So you're not the Master. Jesus is the Master. We're just brethren. And call no man your father upon the earth, for one is your Father which is in heaven. See, we have the Father in heaven. We have people who were our fathers. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have a father. You might not have grown up around your father, but I didn't grow up around my father. But I had a father, but I didn't have the Father. He's your Father, which is in heaven. Neither be you called masters, for one is your Master, even Christ. Your Master, the Master of the wind. The one the winds and the waves obey. The one who can come down and put his hand on you and heal. He healed the leper. Put his hand on a leper when he wasn't supposed to. He healed that leper. Matthew 26, 25. Listen to this. Someone who was going behind Jesus' back and was going to betray him. Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? Jesus said, somebody here is going to betray me, and you know who you are. And he looked at him and said, Master, is it I? And he said unto him, Thou hast said. Even people who have things that they don't want to do for the Lord. They turn their back on the Lord. They aren't obedient to him. They make plans on their own and do things their own way. Judas was doing things his own way. He needed that almighty dollar, so he did it his own way. But he turned around and called him Master, like he was going to continue to follow him. He said, Master, is it I? And he already knew in his heart that it was him. So guess what? You're not hiding anything. Jesus knew exactly who it was. He knew what was going on. He is the Master, and he knows our every thought, and he knows every intent of our heart. Luke 7:40 says, And Jesus answering said unto him, Simon, I have somewhat to say unto you. And he said, Master, say on. So here was somebody that Jesus needed to talk to and really kind of slap him a little bit, giving him a little discipline. And he said, Master, say on. He wasn't hiding anything from Jesus. He wanted to hear what Jesus had to say.